Welcome back to the podcast. We're very excited to have you. Today, we have a podcast first, and we have one of our partners in the studio. Let's go ahead and have an introduction.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. Name's Phillip Carroll. I'm a sales manager, team lead at Carahsoft.
Excellent. We are very excited to have you, especially to have you at this time where we've been able to show you around our headquarters town here in St. George, Utah.
Very beautiful area.
You know, you were mentioning to me that this is your first time here, so we're excited that we get some of your time. I know that we've been able to enjoy some socialization, and I'm just very excited to talk to you today about the information that we are going to talk about. Mainly, Vasion recently achieved FedRAMP High Authorization. Now, we've had a partnership with Carahsoft for some time. We've worked with you, and we'll get into your history here a little bit. But we're just excited to hear about what does this mean for our two companies and how can we service our customers better. So let's start just really quickly. Tell us a little bit about what is Carahsoft, what do they do, and exactly what do you do for them?
Yeah, so Carahsoft is an IT distributor. So we are in the U.S. and Canadian markets. We got our kind of our start in U.S. public sector, but we have since vastly branched out. So we not only support the U.S. government, state, local education, federal, but we are helping out a lot in the enterprise markets these days. We're big into the Canadian market. And so really what we're here to do is to help technology vendors more easily sell their solution to customers and help customers find the right solutions for their needs.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you are a sales team lead. Tell us just quickly, what does your function look like as far as interacting with the customers?
So these days, I don't actually interact with customers directly nearly as much as I used to. I have a team of about 30 people who work under me. These days, I'm more of the big picture, kind of helping make sure my team has what they need to do their jobs, but then connecting between Carahsoft and our vendor partners such as Vasion and making sure that my team is delivering for you all, that you all have everything that you need from us, as well as helping my team get any kind of information or resources from you or our other vendor partners to make sure that we can, do our jobs to the best of our ability. So I used to get to talk with customers quite a bit and meet with them, but these days I'm a bit more on the vendor Carahsoft kind of side, and help kind of guide my team through the process of taking care of our customers and our vendors.
Well, and this is excellent because I like that you said big picture, because I know that you work with a lot of different vendors, and in your time, I'm sure you have seen a lot of different options come across your table, not just in the intelligent print automation space, but anything that your customers may need. What I want to talk to you about, though, is with this advancement for Vasion, where we are now FedRAMP authorized in the high category, what does this do for your team in working with customers? What kind of doors does this open up for them?
The really simple and straightforward answer to that question is it opens doors. So within the federal government in particular, there's a large number of customers who aren't able to buy any kind of cloud native solution if it's not FedRAMP certified, normally at least moderate. High is actually pretty rare, and that's really exciting that you guys got that. It is not a common thing. You normally see low or medium, but it is the barrier of entry to even be able to sell to a number of federal customers. And then lately, we've been noticing that there is an extended market around FedRAMP. So even outside of the government, we're noticing a lot of banking, healthcare, utilities. They won't buy unless it's FedRAMP, and they prefer to buy FedRAMP certified solutions because they know that it's secure enough for the government, so it'll meet any requirements they might have to meet as well when they're dealing with government certifications or dealing with money. They know that it's a secure solution for themselves as well. And so a lot of commercial and enterprise customers are actively seeking to only buy FedRAMP solutions. And one of the biggest developments, as well as actually on the sled market, they have come out with GovRamp. It started off as StateRamp. It's now been kind of recoined as GovRamp. It's also built off the same framework as FedRAMP, but a lot of sled customers, a lot of state customers will accept FedRAMP as a replacement for GovRamp. So if you are FedRAMP certified, they'll consider that the same as being GovRamp. And there's more and more state customers who are requiring GovRamp or FedRAMP to be purchased as well. We're noticing it even in some of the contract vehicles coming out that some of the states are requiring it. Any solution to be on that contract vehicle, their purchasing contract vehicle, it has to be GovRamp or FedRAMP certified. So it's really becoming a vital thing for any kind of technology, cloud native solution, and to be able to sell to the government, but even outside of the government. It's really just something that you have to meet for it to be a solution they can even look at or consider.
This is very interesting because I think in understanding FedRAMP and the process that goes into becoming certified, whether it's low, moderate, or even high, it's a tremendous amount of work. But I think that sometimes for those companies out there that might not necessarily think, oh, I need that or I require that level, but everyone needs security, right? And so this concept of GovRamp, and this is on everyone's mind now. I've been to conferences in the last year, a couple different conferences, and it's astounding how many different security companies or angles of security. So this is clearly on everyone's mind, right?
Yeah.
I wanna pivot a little bit into, because you mentioned that you've spent a lot of time talking to customers. Now you're working with a team that talks to the customers. How often is this something that comes up where somebody will come to you because they need different security updates, or is it more that they're looking for other things and then security is more of the afterthought or the add-on to the package that they need?
So that really tends to vary by customer. So you'll find that the IC customers, so the alphabet soup customers, FBI, NSA, CIA,
Right.
security is basically the first thing they ask every single time about any given solution for pretty obvious reasons. But then you're talking to, Department of Transport, the Chicago Department of Transportation or things like that. Security always comes up, but it's normally not the forefront of what they are asking as far as what they're looking for. They are going, hey, we need something to solve this problem. We need to find things that can do that. And then it becomes a pro in the category for the solutions that are FedRAMP. We've found a lot of customers are actually willing to pay more and pay a premium for a FedRAMP solution over a solution that is, potentially just as good or just as capable at what it does, but they'll pay for the FedRAMP one, even if it's more expensive most of the time, simply because even if it's the security aspect isn't what they lead with, they know it's worth the investment to make sure that their solution is a secure one. There's too many horror stories out there of solutions that do have some kind of vulnerability, and everything's so interconnected that one thing goes down and it can cause a domino effect. So it's rare that a customer doesn't care about the security and it doesn't come up, but it's really the customers who are dealing with truly sensitive data of one kind or another that tend to lead with, hey, I need a secure solution that's then also able to do, whatever it is that they're looking for.
But one of the things that came to my mind as you were explaining this is, how does the effort to modernize play into this, right? Because obviously we're in this print environment space, so we see people who want to modernize, and whether it's update software or eliminate hardware, right? Because we help eliminate print servers entirely. So, what kind of effort are you seeing right now with your team of companies that are trying to modernize and update in an effort to achieve not only more efficiency but more security?
Again, Carahsoft, our big customer base is the government. And it's an unfortunate fact that our government tends to be close to a decade behind the commercial industry as far as their efforts in modernization. But a lot of that comes down to the fact that the government does take so much extra time to ensure that what they're modernizing, what they're moving towards, is something that's secure, that is something that can work and survive an extended period of time to best serve not only the government itself's needs, but obviously us as citizens. They really need to make sure that those solutions are secure because they're the government. The information and data they have is really, really bad if it gets out there frequently. And so modernization is a constant and ongoing effort, and it's something that the government does tend to struggle with because they do have to make sure something is tested and safe and secure. And when it's a brand new technology, it doesn't have, the legacy of security behind it that, long established technology and methods do. And so when in particular for Carahsoft, it's always very exciting to be able to work with emerging technology and new technology vendors that have taken the time to get something like FedRAMP, because it doesn't matter if it's new to the government. Once you have something like FedRAMP, it proves, hey, this is actually a safe and secure, even if it is new for you in your attempts to modernize, even if you've never thought about moving away from physical print servers to something like Vasion. It gives you a certain credential, a certain street cred, so to speak, within the government that they can use that to modernize and move forward in their technology while remaining safe and not having the risk of being the first into something that the government really hates being the first. They really do. And we see the government acknowledging that the need for something like FedRAMP is there, and the need for FedRAMP and vendors to be able to access FedRAMP uh, is so important. They have been actively working on actually updating FedRAMP and the process to get FedRAMP to make it uh, more accessible to vendors to be able to actually quickly get those certifications, because they acknowledge the need to modernize, and but they also know that they have to make sure what they're modernizing and moving towards is secure. And so they're attempting to attempting to modernize FedRAMP itself in order to be able to better serve the government and the citizenry with being able to actually have the newest and greatest capabilities.
Let's talk for just a second about Carahsoft and Vasion. We've been working together. What did you mention? You've been about 2 years.
About 2 years. I think we're working on a third. My perception of time is not my strongest suit, so the years kind of blur together after a while. But it's been about 2 years, 3 years that we've been able to work with you guys.
And we, I can tell you, so I used to be a product manager, and I worked very closely with MSPs, actually. So I have a lot of appreciation for our partners and what they do. If you'd be willing, just tell us a little bit about your experience with Vasion as a whole, not necessarily, obviously, with FedRAMP, because this is a new thing, the authorization, but what's been your experience working with Vasion and how that has helped customers even modernize their print environments?
Working with Vasion has actually been a true joy. And I'm very glad I get to say that honestly, and I don't get to just try to make up to sound good on your podcast. But Vasion has truly been a vendor that has, I'm actually going to steal something from one of the events that I was at recently with you guys. But you guys always are willing to dive in. And so there's never been a hesitation for you all to work with us when we have a customer, we have questions about your solution and how it can address something. You all have always been so ready and eager to be there and support not only Carahsoft, but the customers. And it seems weird that is something unique that I'm calling out about Vasion, but it is true that with a lot of technology companies, whether they're just so small, they're swamped and don't have the time to really give the attention and care, or frankly, on the opposite side, they're so big that they are getting in their own way because they, you know, think they're too big to need to put effort out there. Vasion has been very, very proactive in supporting not only us but the customers, and making sure that they are actually there to service the customer and make sure that we understand what their struggles are and what they actually need. It's even down to, because you brought up MSPs. Uh, Even with your MSPs, you all have identified the struggle of a lot of your MSP partners, of how they need access to get a smaller amount of licenses, access for them to function. And Carahsoft is now working with you to provide a program that will be a bit more flexible for those MSPs. And again, it was from you guys going, "Hey, our customers need this. We need to figure out how to make that happen. We don't know if we can make it happen on our own." And so you guys came to us and went, "Hey, Carahsoft, can you help us figure out how to better service these MSPs?" And it's really rare that a vendor is so proactive in those efforts, and it's one of the reasons it's been a joy. And I've been talking with your sellers and your organization. We're expecting to see growth this year with you.
It's fantastic.
And we're, especially with FedRAMP, again, Carahsoft, we see on average somewhere around an 84% growth in federal sales for companies that get FedRAMP moderate. So with you guys, FedRAMP high, and it's funny you mentioned talking about working with similar technologies. Off the top of my head, I don't know of another vendor that Carahsoft supports that does what you all do, at least not in the entire kind of scope of your solution. My team certainly doesn't support anyone else that does what you guys do. And so it's really exciting that we have something that is likely not common to see. I don't think you guys are going to have as much competition, and it will finally be able to fill a gap, I think, that many customers may not even know exists, because they may never have heard of this capability because it's never existed in a format that they were able to pursue. And so it's going to be a really exciting year, I think, to be able to kind of market this, and really see what customers we're able to finally kind of reach it and get in front of.
I want to ask you something kind of fun here as we're getting close to the end. In regards to not just working with Vasion FedRAMP specific again, but just in general, what are you excited about, you and your team, for 2026 in what's coming out of Vasion and how that can help your team succeed?
So I mentioned the MSP program that we're working on getting set up with you guys, and that's actually something that I've been very excited about working with you guys on. It's a area of service and support that my team it'll be new for my team. It's not new for Carahsoft. And it's always exciting when I get to start a new project and start something that I've never had, the chance to really do. And so for me personally, with Invasion, that's something I'm really excited about. Where on the final yard of getting it set up, and being able to start moving forward with it. It's honestly just being able to do new things that is what's exciting to me. And one of the reasons that I love my job as much as I do, is I do get the opportunity to work with so many different technology vendors and products, and I get to do so many new things every day. While my job may not change, the projects, the pain points of our customers, our vendors, they're always changing. Again, as technology changes, I remember when I first started at Carahsoft, it was the boom of cloud. Everyone was moving to the cloud, and the cloud was everything. And I remember I was trying to tell government customers about cloud services that we could provide them. And I remember hearing from the government, like, "I don't like the cloud. The cloud's not safe. The cloud's not secure." And then, fast forward a decade, everyone's in the cloud, like everyone said they would be. And now it's AI that's the new cloud thing that everyone
Right.
is pushing. And we have, I happen to be a bit of I watched Terminator too young, so I'm personally terrified of AI and the things that it's coming out with. But it's fascinating technology. So really, what excites me is just being able to see new things, do new things, and solve new problems. And Vasion, like I said, is not a technology that I've ever worked with before. I've worked with dozens of cybersecurity solutions. I've worked with dozens of data management, data analysis, data visualization solutions, but uh, where you guys fit. Again, I still remember the first time that we really worked with and interacted with, and I just remember being like, "What do you print, sir? Like, do people still use printers? Like, I haven't owned a printer in a decade myself." And so it was an area that I just didn't even know like was a thing, and so being able to learn about all of it, and so very long rambling answer on what I'm excited about, but really it's just the new projects that I'm able to work with you guys, be it working with your MSPs and being able to help them get access to licenses at kind of the scope that they want, and be able to help you guys be able to do that at scale. And then even just again with FedRAMP, being able to go after those customers that we haven't talked to much, or been able to really kind of push the messaging out to, being able to really start marketing into the DoD and into the IC community, and a lot of the federal space is really exciting to me, because again it's something new. Even if it's something I've done with another technology, I've never done it with something like Vasion, and so it's a new challenge, and that's really what I live for, is being able to get a new challenge and kind of go after it. So
I love it. I think that's a great answer. And with that, Philip, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time.
thank you for having me.
It's just been absolutely wonderful to hear your perspective. And again, we love working with our partners, and we're so grateful that you were willing to sit down with us and share your thoughts on what's coming. So I hope you have a wonderful night. And yeah, we'll talk again soon in the future, I'm sure.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.